Hello, everyone. This is Scott Edwards here of Fightful.com. And with me today is the one and only Billie Starkz. Billie, how are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. I know how busy you are. I mean, you're just coming off I think you wrestled the day after prom. Am I correct?
Yeah, I just had prom on Saturday, and then Sunday I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go wrestle."
You had the Ultimo Dragon picture going on in your prom dress. You know that was
Yeah, I was
classic.
sick.
That was great. That was great. I know a lot of people love that, but that also means that this is WrestleMania week. We are talking about this WrestleMania week. So again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to talk about it. This is your third WrestleMania week. Am I correct?
Um, Fourth now,
Fourth now.
third being on.
Gotcha.
I went to one Mania and just like hung out for the entire time.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's the question. Do you enjoy the chaos that is WrestleMania week as a wrestler?
Of course, it's like so much fun because you see like the best of everything that's going on right
Mm,
now.
yeah.
And if you get bored at one show, you're like, "Oh, there's 6 more going on. I'm gonna go see my friends wrestle now."
Mm. Yeah.
So, there's just so much chaos going on, but there's always something fun to go do during Mania week.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you make sure to go see shows as well that you're not on just because that's the fun of it?
Yeah, I definitely have, like, multiple shows on my, like, list of this weekend. I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
I'm free this day and this day. I'm gonna go check out these shows because the people I'm staying with are on 'em. I can come hang out for a second, and if I wanna leave, I'm gonna go find something cool around LA, go be a tourist for a little bit."
Yeah, it's at a great location this year. I think I don't think it could get much better to be a tourist. Now, do you have any shows that are like one after the other or matches one after the other?
I think I only have, like, a couple double shots, um, but I didn't pack my schedule super crazy because I was like, "I wanna be able to, like, move around and make sure my body isn't gonna be killing me by the end of the week," because I am, like, not home for after LA either, because then I go to, like, Georgia, and then I go to New York, and then I have to go
Mm,
to Indiana, and then back to New York. So I'm, like, all over the place, and I
yeah.
was like, let me not kill my body just yet."
That's a good call. That's a good call. Now you start Wednesday with Pandemonium Pro. You're in the Rumble Riot teaming with Brogan. Uh, do you enjoy the chaos of a battle royal type match like that?
Yes and no. It depends, honestly, because sometimes I feel like there's a limit. This is too many people. But if we're having like a hot rumble where it's like 30 people max, but I've been in the ring where it's like, oh my God, I can't move. Someone's going to kill me right now. I need to throw myself out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy group that's taking part in that Rumble. I
Yeah.
feel like they're releasing like a tag team or a singles competitor today. I'm like, I am so confused. I don't even know how this works. But I can't wait to see it. And I talked to Act Yasukawa last week. Of course, she's coming in for it, which is very cool. Then so many others. Do you like the challenge that you get to do a tag team rather than be a singles? Because that's gotta be a new experience in a lot of ways.
I love tag team wrestling. It's
Yeah,
just so hard to find a good tag team partner.
yeah.
Um, and 2, I was like, "I don't know, does this win mean that we both win, or do I still have to beat you up afterwards? How does this go?" I need to understand the rules as the wrestler in the ring.
Yeah, yeah, I would think that would be very important, when once entering the ring, but I guess that's kind of if you ever, like, listen to people talk about it, they're like, "We'll just figure out when we're in there." That's what
Yeah.
happens. That's how it goes.
It's a pretty normal thing.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear, and of course, you are taking part in the TJPW live in Los Angeles show, and that'll kinda bring us to the exciting part that I wanted to talk about here with you here because, TJPW, of course, welcomed you into the family late last year. You got to challenge for the Princess of Princess Championship against Yuka Sakazaki. So I guess we'll start at the very beginning before we get all the way here to Hollywood. Um, how did it come about? Like, I know you wrestled with Miyu on the Garden State show. You and Janai were in a triple threat with her. Um, but how did the match and the opportunity come about?
So I think it was definitely a mixture of things.
Mm,
Matt Tremont was a lot of help. He put in such a good word for me, and I truly appreciate it. He was trying to make me the best wrestler I can be.
mm,
And definitely my matches with Maki and Miyu
yes.
helped me get in there. But I think Matt's approval definitely got me that final push to be able to go to do the trip.
That's awesome to
Um,
hear.
and it was kind of crazy. I got an email in like my book, Billie Starkz at gmail.com, and I opened it and I was like, Japan? This is fake. It's like one of those like WWE contracts, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like all fake. And you're like, what is this? Good joke, guys. Haha. And I opened it. And I was like, oh crap, this is real. What is this?
Yeah, not only was it real, it's TJPW, so it's like this is pretty big. This is as big as it gets,
Yeah.
right in Joshi. And I know you've been wanting to go over there for so long. So was there like a pinch me, is this real moment for you? Like
Oh, yeah. I definitely thought it wasn't happening until it happened. I was like, oh, I guess this plane flight isn't canceled yet. Okay. I guess I'm getting on this plane now. Oh my God, I'm in a whole different country. Where am I?
and did you love being over there?
I loved it so much. It was an incredible experience, like, in the ring too, like, the
Mhm,
women were phenomenal to work with, and then just being able to go see, like, crazy things I'd never thought I would see in person before. My last trip there, the one I got back from
mhm.
recently, it was amazing because the cherry blossoms were, like, just about to bloom, so I got to see them right before I left, and I was like,
That's awesome.
"This is beautiful." I was like, "This is crazy." I've never seen a cherry blossom in person, and to see it, like, in a park just all, like, at the right time, I was like,
Yeah.
"None of this was here yesterday, and now it's, like, just all over the place."
I think that's my favorite part to hear kinda about, like, when wrestlers take their first trips to Japan, like, yeah, the wrestling's great, I'm sure that was awesome, but hearing the experiences that you got to experience, first time and now this time, which is kind of a brand new way getting to see the cherry blossom, so that's awesome to hear.
I
And
also
you're
say that
oh,
the
yes.
food is so much better. I came back home and I was like, "I can't eat anything." I had to eat so clean when I came back home. I was like, fast food made me, like, gag at the smell because
Mm.
I got so used to eating food in Japan, and I was like, "This is great." And I came back home and I was like, "That smells disgusting."
Oh, that's awesome, and you got to team with Millie McKenzie, of course, for your
Yeah.
first match there, and I know she is someone that you've been a big fan of for a long time, so how cool was that to, not only do you get to go over there, you're having the big title match at Korakuen Hall, which we'll get to, but your first match, you get to be in there with Millie and then face Miyu Yamashita and Yuka Sakazaki.
It was definitely like a dream. I was like, "None of
Yeah.
this is real." I feel like I'm still sleeping. And it was crazy because I was also, like, super jet lagged because 'cause I've never had that big of a time difference before. So I was like, "This isn't real. Everything is illusion." But I was having such a great time, and, like, at the end of the trip, I was like, "Oh my god, I took so many pictures. I got to see so many crazy things." I was lucky that, like, some of the DDT boys, like, took me
Mm.
out and was like, "Oh, let's go to Mister Danger's." And then Alex Colon, like, took me to the zoo one day, and I was like, "This is crazy. The zoo is, like, nothing like back home." I was like, "I haven't seen any of these animals before. I got to see flamingos."
That's awesome, and I think that, like, getting to hear that, you get to all these new experiences, and for you, it does sound like it wasn't just about the wrestling, which is good, it was about those different moments, right? And the food being better and things like that, which is so great to hear. Did you, did you walk away from that first trip saying, "Well, I'm gonna have to do a full tour here eventually?"
Oh, multiple times. I said that, like, after my first day there, I was like, gotta come longer." I was
Yeah,
like, "When's school gonna be out? When's my schedule free again? Can I come here for, like, a while?"
yeah, yeah. Because
And it
I
was
know.
weird because I was like, "I wanna train," and, like, I requested to train, and they're like, "You're not here that long, go have fun," and I was like, "No, I wanna train with everybody, but I also will have time to go do stuff."
Mm, and that was my next question. How was it training with everybody in, like, the TJPW dojo? Was that a different experience from, say, training here in seminars and, schools like that?
It's just a different style. Like the teaching is kind of same, but like the motions and how like they'll change just little things. And I
Mhm.
like little changes that they'll make sometimes. And then also when you are training, it's still like full speed, but you kind of like cheat everything where you don't hurt your body. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is kind of great. How do you guys do this? Because in my head, I'm like, I just got to do it or I'm just going to walk through it. I don't know this middle pace that you figured out.
And did you feel, and you didn't get to spend a long time there, but did you come back to the US feeling like you were just a better wrestler overall because of the experience?
I feel like the women that I wrestled there have helped me so much with the little time that I got to be
Mm,
there. Um, the Joshi women are like a whole different like beast of
yeah,
wrestling. I've always said I was super inspired by Joshi wrestling because those women literally are some of the best in the world.
yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of people could tell, like, just even, like, within your movements, at least watching, you definitely, like, picked up a lot from there, and it's, like, the little things that I appreciate, and I hope others do too. So let's talk about that title match at Korakuen Hall. First, at Korakuen Hall of all places, I mean, that's the place for a lot of people. Everyone talks about the Tokyo Dome jokingly, but, like, if you're going to go to Japan, Korakuen Hall's as big a place as really you can participate in. So for that, like, walking out there in front of the, crowd cheering was back, in the
Yeah.
Korakuens by then. So how was that? Like, how was that experience? And then, oh, I have to get into game mode because, oh, I'm challenging for the title against Yuka Sakazaki of all people.
It was kind of crazy. I just remember, like, in my head, I was like, "Nobody's gonna say anything when you go out there, don't freak out." Because in my head, I was like, "Nobody knows who I am. I'm just a little white girl from America. I don't know how I got here." I was like, "I feel like I'm just going by, like" I was like, "I'm just trying. I hope you guys like me." But I was so excited before I went out. I just had, like, no expectations. I was like, "I just gotta go out and wrestle, and have fun." And as soon as I heard Blink-182, I got so excited. I was like, "No way Blink-182 is playing in Corrigan Hall right now. This is amazing." And then, like, right after the match, I had no idea about this, but the translator for TJPW came and talked to me, and he was like, "Oh, how's it feel being, like, the youngest to ever main event Corrigan Hall?" And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You just made history and you have no idea?" And I was like, "Oh, crap." And I think the person who had it before me, or I was the youngest gaijin to ever main a
Mm.
Corrigan Hall, not youngest wrestler ever, but youngest foreigner. Um, and the person who had it before me, I think they said was Jimmy Lloyd, and I laughed so hard. I was like, I'm so glad I beat Jimmy.
It was like the cherry on top for a lot of ways. That's awesome, and congratulations to you. I mean, I don't even know how you would know that going into that match because that's probably the last thing on your mind
I'm
ever
not
will be like,
worried
"Oh,
about
yeah,
this right now.
history." No, I'm like, "I gotta go out there, put on a show," which of course you did. Poor Yuka, had to suffer that on the apron. I remember that clip was flying around, and let's talk a little bit about your most recent trip over there. Of course, one match, but you made your mark for sure. I was doing the show live for Fightful, and of course you did a swanton to the outside that left a lot of people talking. And my favorite part of the whole thing was you're like, I'm fine. I'm good.
I'm
I'm
fine.
ready to go. Everyone was because for those who haven't seen it, you all should go check out the match. Of course, you face Saki-sama and May Saint Michelle teaming with Yuki Kamafuku. Um, but you took out May on the outside with this, crazy swanton. It was awesome, and it looked terrifying, but that's coming from someone that's not a wrestler. So I feel like I
I
can
feel
say
like
that.
the video is a lie because in my head it was not that far. I was like standing up there, I was like, "Oh, she's so close. Jump." And on the video, I was like, "This looks insane. I wouldn't do this."
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like you jumped like incredibly far. Like I don't even
It was
remember
like to
seeing
the
May in the
other ring
video anymore.
post. I like watched it and I was like, did I just do a coast to coast swanton? How is this possible?
Was it one of those moments where, you get up there and you're just like, "Well, I'm here. I'm doing this." Because no matter what, it's gonna hurt.
I actually didn't feel any pain from the like swanton. It was more when I stood up and twisted my ankle. So you see me like start waddling on my ankle. I was like, the freaking swanton didn't hurt. You guys saw me stand up and I was like, oh crap.
That's fantastic. Well, not really because you got hurt, but fantastic that, the swanton that had everyone worried was like, that's the least of my
I
worries.
think
This
it
is not
worried everybody because I'm always somebody who tucks very late, but that's just because I feel like I have better control of like not
sure.
over rotating and
Yeah.
like killing my hips. So I tuck super late and that scares a lot of people. And I'm like, I promise I didn't hit my head. A lot of people thought I got a concussion from it. And I was like,
Yeah.
my head did not touch the ground. Come on.
Yeah, so and I was like, she hit it like a perfect spin kick after the fact. There's no way there was no way you
I'm
had a
not dazed,
concussion.
guys, I promise.
Yeah, but how was that experience in Ariake Coliseum? Like, that's a big arena, and you're going against the returning Saki-sama and May Saint Michelle. They're kind of they can annoy you a little bit in that ring, of course. But how was that experience?
I honestly had no idea the venue was like that big or the show was going to be that huge until
Yeah,
I walked into the building. I was like, "Oh, I get to go wrestle again. I'm so excited." I was like, "I'm finally back in Japan." And I was like, "Oh no, this is like a big deal." I was like, "How is this like full?" And they're like, "Yeah, we sold all the floor seating and this is all full." And I was like, "That is crazy."
yeah, it was crazy. But how was Yuki? Teaming with her. How was that experience?
I had a lot of fun teaming with Yuki, and I think it was great because I also had somebody who like spoke enough English where
Mm,
we could have like a
yes.
normal conversation. Because
Mhm.
I feel like I speak very little Japanese, so I sound like a crazy person sometimes because I'll say like the wrong thing, or
Yeah.
it's like very broken Japanese where I'll say like a few words and they have to like, oh, we know what you're trying to say.
That's awesome, but that's good to hear that, you were able to have those conversations, and, it was such a crazy match for you, of course, to be in because, like I said, for anyone that is listening to this that doesn't know Saki Sama May Saint Michelle, you're just gonna have to experience it yourself. That's my best way of telling you because
The
they
maid is so sneaky. Her and her
yes.
little silver tray, I swear it would not stop coming. I was like, "Where is this thing coming from?"
Yeah, she just always has it without not having it, if that makes sense. It's just like she has it 1 second, then, you're slipping on it the next. It's
Yep.
not fair. It's not fair.
I've
It's not
slipped way too many times in 2023. I'm tired of it. I
It
was like, "This
is
is not my bit."
March. It is March. That's that's tough, slipping too many times 2023, and we're here in March. But that's okay. That's okay because you have a bigger match this week somehow. Yeah, I feel like you just have a lot of big matches with TJPW. I think that's just kinda your thing, and that's not a bad thing to have. Of course, you're facing Rika Tatsumi at the Globe Theater, which is pretty cool, for the International Princess Championship. One, how was the press conference experience? Because that's a whole new thing, of course. And we got America for the first time, with her whole new look and
Her,
everything. Which
"Look, I'm American." It was so funny when she walked in. I was like, "What is going on right now?" And she was like, "I have Coke, Coca-Cola." And I was like, "She's doesn't wanna say Coke."
that's phenomenal. And how are you? Are you looking forward to the match? I mean, another chance to bring a title home, right? And in a lot of ways, and we know you're going to be back at TJPW, but this guarantees your next trip in a lot of ways. So,
Yes.
are you looking forward to the match and
I'm, like,
getting to
very,
go North
very
America?
excited, and I feel like it's going to be an insane show.
Yeah.
And I feel like TJPW right now has some of the top women.
Mhm.
Uh, their last show truly proved that with, like, how many title changes they had. They had a giant panda come out and try to murder 2 girls. Um, there was just so many shenanigans, and they have so
Yeah.
much to offer too.
Mhm.
And everybody who is a champion there is like a truly fighting champion. It's someone who you want to be in the ring with. Um, and I'm very, very excited for my match. And I saw the match where Rika won the title.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was amazing. I was like, this is a phenomenal match. I can't wait to have this Mania match.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that we got to see, of course this match was announced before she won the title, but once she got the title, I think it's great to see that they're doing the title matches now here in the US to kind of really feel the size of the show. And what does it mean to you to be on their first US show?
It definitely makes me feel like I'm wanted at TJPW. This is definitely
Mm.
one of the places I can call home. This is a place I will constantly be at as long as I can be.
Yeah. And I think that's what everyone wants to hear. I think you've made a real impression in my last, well, two more on TJPW, but one is how did the, Japanese fans take to you, after the fact? Because obviously, you walked out there like, no one knows me. How you doing? And after the match and you coming back, did you feel like a sense of love from them because they were really supportive, I think, of, all the wrestlers?
They were so respectful and, like, so supportive, and it was crazy when I went out, there was, like, signs with my name on it and, like, my
Yeah.
picture, and I was like, "People don't do this back home." I, like, live home and wrestle for the past 5 years, and I've gotten, like, a few signs, but not ones with, like, my entire face on it. Come on.
Yeah, as I talked to Janai Kai about when she went over there a few weeks ago, and she kinda said, like, it's just so different, and it in a good way, of course,
Mhm.
and they really take a liking even if you're, brand new, they just instantly become fans of you, so I like that, they had signs with your face on it, something that you don't even get here in America. Like, what do we do? We have to have it at the TJPW show in Los Angeles, so anyone seeing that, you know what to do.
Bring fun, make it fun, bring streamers. I miss streamers. I feel like streamers should be a thing. I
I agree.
remember going to, like, indie shows and always throwing streamers.
I think streamers are the best part of being a fan, at least to me. So everyone listen to
It
Billy.
just
We need
sucks for
streamers
the
back
cleanup
everywhere.
crew that has to clean up all the
Well,
streamers.
Well, it's part of I guess it's part of the thing. I always remember watching, like, Ring of Honor when, the Young Bucks would have those, and, now with Joshi had them all the time,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm hoping they bring them back, and I think you're on something. At least when TJPW is here in the US for the first time, I think that's perfect time to bring in streamers. Now my last TJPW question for you. You're challenging for the International Princess title. You've challenged for the Princess of Princess title. That means tag team titles. If you could pick one person to team with you to take on Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito for the tag team titles, who would it be?
That's hard. That's hard. I feel like I would work really, really well with Alley Cat or
Mm,
Catch. I
yeah.
feel like we make a really good team, and I feel like we could do it. If I had to choose somebody else, I would probably choose Sky Blue.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a great one. And TJPW and AEW, of course, have that connection. So never say never, I guess. I think everyone would love to see that. But we can move ahead here. The Life of Billie Starkz documentary. This, I think a lot of people loved, getting to kind of see your life and your everyday, which, as we were talking about, is pretty chaotic. How is it, getting to share that with everybody? Because as a pro wrestler, obviously a lot of people know about your life already, but that's, an even deeper look at it.
I actually almost gave the camera back at one point because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to show like my
Sure.
real life. I was like, this is pretty chaotic and I do a lot of things, but I also don't want people knowing everything I do. It
Hmm.
was like I felt like a sense of privacy. I was like, is this okay for me to share with everybody? Do you want to see me do my real job that I do outside of this? I thought I'm supposed to just be this really cool
Right.
wrestler that does swantons to the floor.
Yeah. And that's kind of, when I see those types of documentaries, it's always, I want to hear your side because it's you let a lot of people know about a lot of things that maybe you
Yeah.
don't want people to know about. But I know a lot of people are happy that you didn't give the camera back. They got to kind of see the life of Billie Starkz, and you're coming up on graduation here. Is there anywhere you haven't traveled yet? And I know you're going to Eve, and I'll ask you about that in a little bit. But is there anywhere you haven't gone yet that you're like, okay, I need to go now that I have a little more freedom to do so?
I wanna make it back to Defy. I would love to be
Yes.
on a Defy show, and when I went up there, I was just hanging out, and I, like, went as a fan, and I
Mhm.
was like, "This is insane. I would love to be a part of this," and I haven't had to make the journey back out there yet, but I definitely that's somewhere I would like to go make a pit stop at.
Yeah, those that atmosphere at Defy is, like, so unique, from the shows that
Mhm.
I've watched at least, so I think that's a great shout, and I can see you in PWG too now that, they're having women's matches again and stuff like that. I
Woo.
think I think that'd be a good place for you as well.
I
So that
I saw the balcony in there. I could do some crazy things.
well, hey, you have a chance this week. You're gonna be there.
Hey, TJPW.
Rika, watch out.
Oh no, there's gonna be a dive off the balcony. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. You made us lose the venue. Bad.
That's yeah, well, if you have the balcony, you you have to use it. I mean, it's there.
I haven't done it yet. We'll see. Maybe we'll see what the future holds.
We will. So you've made a lot of debuts over the last few months. TJPW, AEW, MLW, Ring of Honor. You're checking all the boxes here. And last week, if I'm not mistaken, you were on AEW, Ring of Honor, and MLW. At that is insane.
Yeah,
That is
all
insane.
at the same time.
I don't think anyone can say that they've done the same thing for all three of those, at
And that was
least.
like the week I got back from Japan too. So I was like,
Right,
"Oh, this is great."
right. So, like, what does that mean to you to kinda, these, bigger obviously bigger than independent wrestling companies, all give you a chance and, you get to show what you're all about on the biggest scale possible in a lot of ways.
I'm just riding this high. I love the wave that I'm on, and I hope this journey continues that way. But it's, like, crazy to go, like, show my friends at school and, like, "Look what I'm doing."
Yeah, here's and you talked about how your town did a documentary on you too as well. Am I not
So,
mistaken?
there was, like, a news article,
Okay.
WDRB, which is, like, very, big in my area, which,
Mhm.
like, probably nobody out of, like, Kentucky or, like, Indiana will know what it is.
Sure.
But a bunch of people, like, I go to school with or people that I trained with were all like, "Oh, this is crazy. You're on the news."
I mean, it's awesome though. It's awesome though. So, you know, and did that like is there like anyone at your school that doesn't know you're a wrestler yet?
Oh, I feel like everybody kinda knows now, but, like, a lot of the underclassmen that, like,
Yeah,
haven't known me for, like, all the couple of years, a lot of them don't know me, which I'm like, "I'm cool with because 'cause you'll leave me alone."
that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, would I don't even know if you'd want them to know because it makes your life easier if you could just
A
be a
few of them
student.
know, and I'll get rushed in the hallway. I got this guy in the stairwell that stopped me today, and he was like, "Congratulations on your news article. Do you wanna walk with me to whatchamacallit's class?" And I was like, "No, have a good day." Thanks.
Oh man. Okay. Well, sure. That's that's I guess the life of being a
This is my
wrestler and a
life.
student. Yeah, this is exactly. That's what The Rock was thinking or mankind was thinking all those years ago, when that'll be the Billy Starkz, this is my life. Um, so you competed, you won on Ring of Honor this past week. How do you like being in that atmosphere? Because it's a kind of a closed set, but it's very intimate and high production level, but it's all about the wrestling. You beat Miranda Alizé. How was that experience for you?
It honestly was a lot of fun. I was wrestling with, like, my fingernails split in half, though, so my hand was hurting so much, and I was like, "This is my last match, it'll be fun." Then I started wrestling, I was like, "My hand hurts." And it was, like, already wrapped in bandages and stuff, and I was like, "It's not gonna bleed, it'll be fine."
Oh, oh,
But I had so much fun, and, like, ROH was a really big deal for me because I like grew up watching it. It was like a really big part of my childhood. And like Mouse has like videos of me being like, "Oh, I want to work here one day. This would be cool." And I was like super small, and I was like, "This is not real. That's not me."
And that's awesome, and I think that's why, I figured you watched a lot of Ring of Honor, growing up, because I think anyone that really, I'm guessing, that loves wrestling as much as you do, kinda, you eventually
We all
find that
had
Ring of
our
Honor.
ROH phase.
We did. Is there, you've talked about this very openly. You love the indies, and rightfully so. That is where you've made a name for yourself. Is your hope moving forward to just continue wrestling everywhere, whether that be, the highest of highs like AEW, or a brand new indie in, whether it's the US or England or elsewhere? Is that like kind of what you're planning and hoping to continue doing, as well as going to Japan, of course?
So my game plan right now is just to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm loving wrestling.
Perfect.
I'm gonna finish up school, and truly, I just want to be in a ring. I don't
Mhm.
care where the ring is or who it's in front of. I just want to get in the ring and wrestle, as long as it's fun and I'm putting on a show.
That's what matters. I think that's definitely what I like to hear personally, because that's kind of you knowing what you want to do, and it's just about the wrestling, and that's what it should be. You're heading to Pro Wrestling Eve, like I said earlier. That's exciting as well. You're doing a lot. I talked to you about this before we got started. There's just like matches popping up at every moment, but you are heading to Pro Wrestling Eve to take Sapphire Reed, I believe. Um,
Yes.
this is your first time in England, correct?
Yes, this is my first time ever in England.
That's
Japan was,
awesome.
like, my first time ever out of the country. I've never been to, like, Canada or Mexico, and I was like, "This is crazy for this to be my first trip out of the country," and this
Yeah.
I was like, "Nobody speaks English here." Then I got there and I was like, "There's English signs, I'm okay."
Well, are you excited to head over to England, for the first time?
I'm super excited. Actually, during the pandemic, I kinda got hooked on Pro Wrestling Eve. They kept, like, live streaming, and it was, like, probably like 4 AM my time, but I was up because I was bored and had nothing better to do. So I was like,
Mhm,
"Oh, I'll watch wrestling." And it was really crazy because I got to see so many phenomenal matches.
mhm,
And then some of their like techniques are different than what you would see in like US chain wrestling or even like their little transitions. I always thought there's like little things that are like these are norms here, but these are not norms in other locations. It's really strange. You can see it like location also changes wrestling,
yeah.
no matter where you go.
Yeah, it really does, and I think that's why it's also exciting, because right, we talked about how you went to Japan, came back different, and now you're gonna go to England, come back a little bit different, so you're really rounding out your game with all these different styles. Even if maybe, the regular fan may not notice, I think everyone, will notice just the little tweaks, so that's very exciting for you, of course. That's coming up very soon, so everyone keep an eye out for that. We only have a few more questions here. We'll finish up soon. Again, thank you so much for your time. What
No.
aspect of your work are you most excited to improve on in 2023?
Ooh, just like self-love, if that
Mm.
counts.
No, that's important.
There's
That's
like
very
a
important.
lot of like little things that I felt like, "Oh, I need to take like better care of myself doing this," or
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I should ask for this." I was like, I'm so one of those people. I'm like super nice, where I'll be like, "Oh, I could take care of that. Don't worry about it," or I'll just like
Yeah.
do everything I'm supposed to. And after like going to Japan and seeing how like respectful they are and how well taken care of like all of their wrestlers are, and then how welcoming they are with foreign talent, I looked at how like when we bring people into America, we kind of like put them like on their own a lot of the
Mhm.
time. Like even with Shaza, like Shaza was like figuring out when she came to the US, even though like stuff's way different. She was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I love it here. I'm gonna figure it out. I think I might live here." And now she's here. I was like, "How did you get here?"
Yeah, and I think that's very important, and I think, you know, people, and I've seen, over the past couple of years, I think we've all seen it with wrestlers, you know, taking care of yourself is just as important as anything that has to do with wrestling, because some people have left the business because of one thing or one thing or another. So that's great to hear. That's kind of your main focus, and we're excited to see what that means for you, of course, as you continue on. So last few things here. What you have been a big part of women's wrestling in the US. That goes without saying. And I think over the past couple of years, especially, it's really grown to be like such an awesome key part of the indies, and we're seeing on television and pretty much everywhere in the US. It's become a major part, and rightfully so. What does it mean to you, just to take part in that and help grow women's wrestling to the point where it's become a favorite for many people?
I'm just proud to be improving wrestling. If I can just come into wrestling and make wrestling a better place, I'm
Mhm.
going to be happy that I left it better than what I found it. And truly, I think wrestling grows as a community. We don't grow as individuals without
Yes.
bringing other people up with us. I say like all the time, I get so excited when I get to wrestle like new opponents because either I'm going to learn something or they're going to learn something from me. And it just makes wrestling better. We're all going to be in the ring with the other person at some point. Really hope they're good.
And I think that's always great to hear, because like you said, it's about everyone at the same time. And you said new opponents. Perfect segue to Queen of the Indies. Queen of the Indies coming up. You were officially announced, which was very exciting. That's what I was hoping to hear. There's two specific new opponents we'll talk about. But of course, Chigusa Nagayo is coming over, which anyone that's listening to this, I hope you know how big of a deal that is. Well, and she's doing a seminar, if I'm not mistaken.
I
Will you be
believe
attending?
so.
Are
I'm
you
not
hoping to
sure
attend?
because of travel and everything, because
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Well, that brings up then Takumi Roha, Unagi Sayaka, Brooke Havoc. There's a long list. Lady Frost is in it. There's so many people competing in it. Is there anyone in that tournament you're really hoping to face?
Ooh, I feel like there's so many great competitors in it.
Yeah.
Like, these are the top women going right now, whether you believe it or not, and seeing
Mhm.
who's gonna come out on top, I think it shows who's going to be the next one up, who's going to be the next female running the world right now.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it so much, is that, it says indies, but it's worldwide. It's bringing women's wrestling all around the world together, and, showcasing it in a promotion like West Coast Pro that is so popular. And
I think they've been killing it with their
yeah,
shows. Every card I've seen, I'm like, "I'm excited about this show." They haven't missed.
they have a little bit of everything. That's what's I think so great about them. I'm totally in agreement. They haven't missed. And Masha Slamovich, of course, their new women's champion. You got to have your eyes on that, I'm sure.
Who Masha's just a monster. She is. But I've beat the monster once. I can say that. Twice actually. So what's third time's a charm, I guess.
Gonna have Billy 5 belts, Billy 6 belts. Well, we may have Billy
Way
5
too
belts this
many.
week. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're really gonna have the Ultimo Dragon picture going
I'm
on,
not
I think.
ready for that suitcase. I feel like my suitcase already gets heavy enough with one.
I know, but I was when when you posted that picture, I was like, that's not light. I don't think people, like, always realize that belts they're not
The
light.
black label one is so
Yeah.
heavy, and I was holding it in my hand, and I was like, "I can't hold my arms out for this long." I didn't realize how weak I am. I was like, "Or these belts are just so heavy." I hate taking, like, check bags, but sometimes I have to with,
Yeah.
like, belts and crap, and I hate going through TSA and your beep goes off, and you have to pull a belt out of your bag, and you're like, "Yeah, this is mine, thanks, put it back."
Yeah, I kinda need this. Being a champion, it's not easy. It's not everyone talks about having to defend the belt. It's the simple part of having to bring it around too.
Me and Marty talked last weekend how she, like, won a trophy at a show, that she had to travel back home with it, and she was like, "It was the same height as me, so I'm sitting next to it in the airport like this."
Oh
She was
my
like, "I
god.
look like a crazy person," and they're like, "What you win?" "A wrestle match."
That's I love that so much. And I guess the last question here before I let you go, and we talked about what do you wanna work on, what's, keep training and focusing on self-love, like you said, but you've accomplished so much, even just this year. I mean, we just went down all the promotions you work for. You have 4 belts. You're about to make it 5, of course, with Rika, as we know. Um, what's your next big goal besides graduation? I obviously that's a goal, but
Get
what's your
done
next
with
big
school.
wrestling goal? Yeah, yeah.
Moving out. I'm actually moving out early June, July.
That's exciting.
Around that time after graduation. Depends on when graduation happens and where my life's at. But I plan on moving very soon. I'm super excited about that. But goals with wrestling, I plan to do even crazier. I feel like people haven't even got like enough yet. I was like, until you see a Segoy driver on TV, you haven't seen Billie Starkz.
I think that's perfect, and it's the truth. It's the truth. Until we see that on TV, we haven't reached the ultimate level, and I think people will be very scared when they see that on TV because every time I see it, I go, "Oh, okay, sorry to the opponent." People will think the Swanton was nothing by then from TJPW. They'll be like, "What was that? That was nothing compared to what you're gonna do next."
I was like, wait till you let me and Nick get in a ring. If we had an
Exactly.
AEW match, it would be insane.
I think it needs to happen. I think it needs to happen. But Billy, thank
And
you
shout
so
out
much.
TK.
Exactly. I hope he's listening. I hope he's listening. Set it up immediately. Even on dark. Let's get it on dark first, and then we'll build up. We'll build up, right? But thank you so much, Billie Starkz. Where can the people find you? I would have you list all the shows you're going to be on, but that would probably be another 20
It would
minutes.
be a
So
long page. I have to pull up the calendar.
yeah. So where can people find you on the socials? And we'll keep it to WrestleMania week. Where should people be finding you WrestleMania week?
You can check me out at Billie Starkz, Billie, and then Starkz is Starkz. And for any of my upcoming shows, I'm posting it all over my social media. I will also post like if you can watch the shows live, if you can't make it to LA. So please check out Mania Week. I'm gonna be doing a lot of crazy things, so try to keep up.
Try to keep up. Well, thank you so much for joining us. For Billy, I'm Scott, and we'll see you next time here at Fightful.